Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Presley, and in this video today, I want to do basically a monthly ranking of all the movies that I watched in July. Now, the first half of this year, 2026, I only watched 11 films. I haven't been watching too many movies, but I decided I wanted to change that in July of this year because I wanted to get back into movies. I love movies, and I haven't been reviewing them as much on the channel, but you will see reviews for a lot of the movies that I talk about in this video in the very near future. Yes, ended up watching 22 films in July. It was a great month, very action-packed, 4 films. Some good movies, some not so good movies. Let's start off with number 22. We have Rings. Now, I did do a review on this movie already. Rings is kind of okay. There's a lot of bad, crappy dialogue. The story's a little bit whatever. There's some interesting backstory to the Ring herself towards the back end of this film, but otherwise, this movie is a little bit dull, a little bit boring, and kind of cringe and not great. At number 21, we have Stargate. Stargate was promising towards the first half of this film. I thought it was decent. It was pretty good. I like Kurt Russell and James Spader. However, once we started actually seeing the main villain and kind of the main story take place and unfold in this futuristic, like faraway Egyptian type place, the movie really went off the rails. I did not think it was good at all. It was very corny, very cheesy, and Roland Emmerich's direction is just not very good. Had to come in at number 21. At number 20, we have Hellraiser. Now, I did already do a review on this movie. Hellraiser's okay. It doesn't have a lot of great or memorable scenes. The scene where the Cenobites come in at the very end is the best part of the movie. Everything else is a little bit whatever. I don't like the script very much, and the acting is kind of bad at times, along with the line delivery. I think the practical effects in this movie are great, which is why it lands a little bit higher on this list. But I watched a lot of good movies, and Hellraiser was not one of them. At number 19, I have Aeon Flux. Now, I hear a lot of people talking a lot of crap about this movie, but I thought it was okay, or it wasn't very good, but I thought it was better than some people give it credit for. It was definitely a very wonky sci-fi film with a lot of interesting, weird cuts and shots here and there. But overall, I felt myself enjoying the film a little bit at times. I thought it flowed pretty nicely. And overall, it was kind of fun. It didn't take itself too seriously. And no, I don't think it was good, but it was number 19 on this list. Number 18, we have All-Star Superman. This was a little bit of a butcher of the All-Star Superman book, which I still have to put a review out at the time of this recording. But yeah, the All-Star Superman movie was not that good. I think it really missed a lot of the heart and funny action and comedy that made the All-Star Superman book great and feel very nostalgic for a lot of Superman fans. I thought All-Star Superman, the movie, was just whatever and had to come in at number 18. At number 17, we have Terrifier. This movie's okay. The characters make a lot of dumb, poor decisions, and there's not really a storyline going on throughout here. It's just Art the Clown killing a bunch of people that come to this abandoned warehouse type place. There's some good gore throughout here. There's some great effects throughout here, and that's about it. I do like Art the Clown, but I think this movie in general just suffers from having a lack of direction or a main character. Coming in at number 16, we have Abraham Lincoln, the Vampire Hunter. Now, this movie is pretty wonky, pretty silly, and not very good at times, but I can at least commend it for being interesting, being unique, and taking a figure like Abraham Lincoln and making him fight vampires in this time period that he was also trying to free the slaves. Not a good movie, but a pretty fun movie, and it's pretty out there. Also, the cast of this movie is surprisingly great. There were a lot of big names throughout here that I think were in this movie before they really made it big, so not too bad. At number 15, we have the Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd movie. This is definitely the worst of the two Judge Dredd movies. I adore the costuming in this film, specifically for the judges. I thought that was cool, but the story's a little bit generic, a little bit boring. I really cannot stand Rob Schneider throughout here. I think he's obnoxious. He doesn't fit the story at all, and I think if he wasn't in it, this movie would have been an entire star higher. Maybe would have gotten around a 3.5, but with him in it, he was very obnoxious and annoying, and the villain was just kind of forgettable throughout this film. At number 14, we have Flight Risk. Now, Flight Risk is a story about Mark Wahlberg, who hijacks this plane to take these people, these government people, away, kill them, whatever it is. I thought Flight Risk was okay. It was kind of fun at times, a little bit boring, a little bit stale when we get into the whole thing because it's not long, but we do spend the whole film just in the airplane. I thought it was fun. It was intense at times. It was also pretty basic and predictable at times, but I still thought it was fun with some great action, and Topher Grace and the main female lead, I forget her name, they played well off of one another. At number 13, we have Escape from LA. Now, this is a huge step down from Escape from New York, which no spoilers, but that will be later on this list. Escape from LA is kind of whatever. They went in a more satirical and goofy tone for this movie. Steve Buscemi doesn't really work in here. I mean, I guess he works for the humorous tone, but I like when Snake Plissken is a bit more serious and when the escape movies are a bit more badass and edgy and swaggy, if you want to say. Pardon my horrible vocabulary. But yeah, Escape from LA doesn't have the same swagger as Escape from New York, but I thought there were still some pretty fun scenes. I think the villain is definitely a lot less memorable in this film, and overall it's not too bad. I like the setting, but it definitely doesn't live up to the hype of the first one, and it's too goofy. At number 12, we have Hulk. This is the Ang Lee film, and I thought this movie was pretty fun at times. Now, yes, it does feel dated. There's a lot of weird cuts and frames where there's 4 or 5 things happening on at the same time on the screen. It feels like a bunch of comic book panels, which I can personally respect. There's some basic villain stuff going on here, just people trying to get rich and take over the company and the lab that Bruce Banner works at. But there's also some great moments throughout here. I think Eric Bana and Jennifer Connelly work really well together as Bruce Banner and Betty Ross. So yeah, overall fun stuff throughout here, and not as bad as I thought it was going to be, because a lot of people crap on this movie, and I personally didn't see it. At number 11, we have Limitless. Now, I did not think this movie was going to be as good as it was. It was pretty fun. I think Bradley Cooper did a great job of being this guy who's kind of a low-life loser on the verge of being homeless because he can't write his book, to all of a sudden being this drug addict guy who's taking this new narcotic that makes him smart and unlocks all different parts of his brain. I think this movie could have gone in a more interesting direction with this whole unlocking your brain's potential thing, because all he did was just use it to make a bunch of money, which makes sense, it's understandable, but I think we could have seen some cooler things, maybe with how he operates and him not having to sleep as much, things like that. I don't know, it could have gone in a little bit of a more interesting direction, but for what we got, I thought it was fun. There's a lot of shady characters throughout here that I think Bradley Cooper has to deal with, and I don't know, it's pretty enjoyable to watch. We are into the top 10 now. Starting at number 10, we have The Running Man. This is the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, not the new one. I want to watch the new one soon, but I haven't yet. But the Arnie one was pretty good. It was fine. I honestly thought it was going to be a little bit better. I did like this whole dystopian sci-fi futuristic thing going on. I think when they actually get into the game, it gets a little bit dull, but not the whole time, just a couple action scenes here and there that weren't the best, but then it ends pretty well. So overall, this one is a pretty good journey, a little bit up and down, but fun. Number 9, we have Renfield. Now, Nicholas Hoult is becoming one of my favorite actors, and he very much works as this leading man who is trying to get away from Dracula. Nicolas Cage plays a great Dracula. He's super funny, super witty, and perfect for the character. And this movie has a lot of heart in it, but also a lot of great humor. I think it's funny. And surprisingly, Awkwafina was not too bad in it. I usually cannot stand her, but she was fine in this movie, and I had a lot of fun with this one. Number 8, we have Pandorum. I did do a review on this movie already, so check that out. But Pandorum is fun. It kind of feels like it's a little bit derivative of Alien, but it's doing its own thing. It's this futuristic sci-fi story about this flight crew who gets woken up on a journey to another planet because Earth is dying, and there's these aliens that have already been kind of infesting the ship. I thought it was fun. I thought it was great. The one main complaint I had about this movie was the audio mixing, with all the dialogue being super low and whispery, but then the action scenes and the aliens being incredibly loud and high-pitched and screechy at times. So overall, this movie was fun. It wasn't super original, but I had a good time with it. Coming in at number 7, I have Guns Akimbo. Now, this one was really hilarious, super zany and over the top, and I think Daniel Radcliffe does a great job being this weirdo guy who's also becoming like this main hero of a lot of people's story. I think it's great. There's a lot of heart in here. There's a lot of fun action, a lot of guns and a lot of killing and a lot of blood, but in a very fun, humorous way at times. And it's a little bit unique with the story, but also there's a lot of creative kills throughout here. So I don't know, I had a lovely time with this film. Kind of going along with the same theme as Guns Akimbo, number 6, we have Novocaine. This is with Jack Quaid, and I think he's great as a leading man. He's funny, he's pretty goofy and nerdy, and I think he makes for a very hilarious frontman. I think Jacob Batalon ends up playing a great role throughout here as well. Jack Nicholson's son is in here, and Amber Midthunder from Prey. I think great cast overall and a fun movie. Definitely a lot of great action scenes. The torture scene in particular is absolutely hilarious. And if you don't know, Novocaine is about a guy who cannot feel any pain. So he goes on this little mission to try to save the woman he loves. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm going to stop there. But yes, the torture scene was absolutely hilarious. I was laughing for a lot of this film. And overall, it was just a great time and it flowed really nicely. All right, we are into the top 5 now. Number 5, we have the Lego Batman movie. This movie is hilarious. It's honestly a great take on Bruce Wayne as well as Batman. His lonely side, not wanting to let anybody in, his emotional availability is completely absent. I love it. I think the little dynamic between him and Joker is hilarious throughout a lot of this movie. A lot of great jokes, a lot of great one-liners, a lot of very iconic scenes. So overall, this film was great, and I had to give it the number 5 spot for this month. At number 4, we have the Dredd film, the recent one. Now, this is a big step up from the Sylvester Stallone movie. This one is interesting. It takes place in this huge 250-story building with Dredd trying to take down this drug kingpin. Overall, an amazing story. A lot of drug sequences throughout here, but they're interesting because the drug is called slow-mo, so you get to see all this glittery slow motion, beautiful effects throughout here, a lot of gross kills as well, but in a fun way. People getting their faces blown off and their stomachs blown through. Overall, just a really fun movie with great, solid action, a lot of really good acting, and just a fun, very thrilling story that I was hooked to the screen the whole time for. All right, we're into the top 3. Number 3 is going to be Roofman. Roofman was an incredible film, honestly much better than I ever expected it to be. Channing Tatum puts on a very, very great class act here. I think he does an amazing job being this frontman, ex-convict who's constantly on the run from the law. It is an amazing movie and based on a true story. Very sad and also creepy and also kind of inspiring to see what happens to this man in real life. And I just thought the casting was perfect throughout this film. I thought the acting was great. And even though the movie feels like it should be too long, it's not. It flows nicely and there's a lot of beautiful character moments. There's some funny, humorous bits and a lot of great chemistry between the leads in this film. Overall, I very much dug this movie and it was one of my favorites of the entire month. Number 2, we have Rush. Now, at the time of this recording, that is the most recent movie that I watched, and I really dug it. I think Daniel Bruhl and Chris Hemsworth play perfectly against one another. I think it's amazing. This story has a beautiful rivalry. There's a lot of great F1 moments throughout here, not only between their rivalry, but also the beautiful sports action, the racing drama, and things like that. Gorgeous, gorgeous movie, and near perfect. If not perfect. I really, really dug this movie, and it comes in at number 2. The reason it comes in at number 2 and not number 1 is because number 1 I just happen to like a little bit more, which is Escape from New York. Now, one thing I want to say right off the bat about Escape from New York, the score in this film is absolutely amazing. John Carpenter not only directed the film, but also made the music for it, and it is beautiful. It's edgy. It's full of swag. There's a lot of hard-hitting moments to the score and to the movie itself. A lot of wonky, interesting, cool characters that feel very zany and unique from one another. This is a very apocalyptic and creepy film at times. Kurt Russell is badass as Snake Plissken. The story is cool. It's slick. It's edgy. It's a great action film, but it's also a great thriller film, and there's some beautiful funny moments throughout here as well. Subverts expectations, just like the very end. I don't want to spoil what happens, but what Snake Plissken does with the president, I think makes a very satisfying character arc for Snake. Overall, this movie was amazing. I almost gave it a 5 stars. It's basically teetering between a 4.5 and a 5, but it comes in as my number 1 movie that I watched in July. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts and opinions on my list. Which movies did you think I rated too high? Which ones did you think I ranked too low? What did you watch in July? I would love to hear your rankings, or just give me your top favorites and least favorites. But I look forward to hearing all those comments down below. With that being said, thank you so very much for watching this ranking. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more daily videos, and I will see you all later.